Hey, Night Call. It's 1:40 a.m. in New York. Leaving you an actual Night Call. This is Emily. I'm one of the hosts of Night Call. And I'm just doing some night shopping online. Because, it's fall and we gotta get our fall fashion and everything and have all the latest looks and trends and stuff. And I just thought everybody should know that Night Call t-shirts are available now on cottonbureau.com. And they're really, really dope. They're limited edition, so they're rare and dope. And the front of them says Strange Days and Lonely Nights, which is a really good conversation starter, especially if you meet somebody else who loves Night Call. They're only available until September 5th, so get it now because they won't exist anymore after that. And yeah, you can find them at cottonbureau.com/strange-days-lonely-nights. Or if that's too hard, you can just go to our Twitter at Night Call Pod or on Facebook at Night Call Podcast and find some more information there. But you should buy the shirts because they're really cool and they're a great way to show everybody you love Night Call. All right, I'm going to go check out. Going to go edit my shopping cart and buy some of these looks online. Thanks, Night Call. Thanks for doing the show. I love you. Bye.
It's 9:29 in Woods Hole, Massachusetts, and you're listening to Night Call. And welcome to Night Call. I'm Molly Lambert, and with me in Los Angeles is
Tess Lynch and our special guest,
Carvell Wallace.
And joining us in New York, as always,
Emily Yoshida.
Carvell, welcome to Night Call. Carvell is on a podcast called Closer Than They Appear on the Al Jazeera Podcast Network, and works for the New York Times.
That's
magazine as a writer.
Yeah. And I also do the Slate parenting podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Mom and Dad Are Fighting.
It is a great podcast title.
It is.
It is. It just makes us, the problem is that we have to fight every episode. So that's the only downside.
Otherwise, no deal.
Yeah, we
no
have to
podcast.
live on.
It doesn't deliver if you don't. Emily, welcome back from New England.
Thanks. I was in New England. I want everybody to know that I went to New England and I came back and it was okay and there was nothing to be afraid of.
Had you never been there before?
Yeah, I had. So I went to the Cape, which I cannot say without making a funny face when I.
We were talking about the Cape before we started recording. We were going to talk today about sharks.
Yes.
The end of summer seems like the time to talk about sharks.
Shark season.
And then we were going to take a question about a haunted piece of wood.
No spoilers. What are you doing?
Sorry, it's spoiler. It's not spoilers that it's a haunted piece of wood. The spoiler is what they might do with it.
That's true. That's true.
And then we're going to talk about the Elon Musk, Grimes, Azealia Banks situation. So, guys, what are you feeling about sharks right now?
Well, have you guys seen the Meg?
No, we were talking about it. Tess was looking up the credits of the director and saw that he directed Three Ninjas.
Yeah, this guy's amazing.
He's amazing.
Cool Runnings.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Emily, did you see the Meg?
I did. I had to see the Meg for work. I got paid by my employer to see the Meg.
I'd see the Meg.
Was
for
it
work.
worth the money?
No, it's not. It's really bad. I think that this movie this started out like whenever the first trailer dropped for it, everybody was like, "Oh, cool, giant shark movie with Jason Statham in it." And then I think the second trailer dropped, and I think they had caught on to maybe whatever campy vibe people were assigning to this film, and so just decided to try to market it as like a Sharknado.
As if Giant Shark and Jason Statham weren't camp enough to begin with.
Sharks have become really camp because of Sharknado.
I was going to say, is it all passe after Sharknado? But they're like, we have a bigger shark. And I think the shark in the movie is supposed to be 75 feet long.
Well, I was going to say the reason I thought this might be like a real shark movie is because it's based on the other novel by the guy who wrote Jaws.
Yeah.
That's about a megalodon shark. That's like the sequel to Jaws, where it's like, oh, you thought Jaws was scary. Check out a really ancient Jaws.
By the way, the title of the book is Meg, a novel of deep terror.
Yeah.
That feels like shade at somebody that the author knew whose name was Meg.
Meg, I know.
I like calling a megalodon shark Meg as like a nickname.
Well, they mostly
America's
refer to
sweetheart.
it as the Meg in the film. But the thing about the film is that contrary to its second round of marketing, it is a pretty straightforward shark movie with a heavy Chinese finance influence in it. And one of the cool things about that, one of the only cool things about that, similar to Pacific Rim 2 Uprising, which came out earlier this year, it's like this weird loophole that like gives you like Asian female actors in like key roles in dumb action movies. That's
sounds actually, you're making a great argument for the Meg.
Yeah,
again,
what didn't you like?
What don't you like about the Meg?
I mean, it's just boring. Like there aren't that many good. I wanted more shark centric centerpieces. There's like one really, really amazing one where like the female protagonist like gets lowered into the shark tank and then like all hell breaks loose. That I don't know. I don't even know how to describe. But
she gets lowered into the shark tank.
She's like
shark
one
movies.
of those shark tanks that like you're lowered into
the
water.
cage?
Oh,
Cage,
yeah,
shark
yeah.
cage. Yeah. With like a hole so that she can shoot a poison dart at the Meg, and then it doesn't go as planned, and it ends up like the shark grabs the thing, and the whole boat tips over because it's attached to the cage, and it's just like this weird. Rube Goldberg
You're really
machine.
selling us, though. I
swear to God, though, I just spoiled the only good thing about it because it's really long and it doesn't deliver that much on shark hijinks.
But like neither does Jaws, and that's why. But I guess Jaws is about like corrupt local infrastructure.
Yeah. Jaws is like a metaphor for something. It was also the first time. It was also like the first of its kind, right?
Right.
Like, at the time.
I had never seen it until not that long ago.
Really?
Yeah. That's like
I still haven't seen Jaws.
oh my God,
What?
Emily,
I'm a film critic who's
so
never
no
seen
spoilers. No spoilers.
Please
no
don't
one
spoil
knows about a
Jaws.
shark.
Spoiler, Jaws is amazing. And I begrudgingly was like, I guess I see why this made Spielberg a huge director and also like ended the good 70s in movies that I enjoyed.
That's right. Yes.
You know, like it's not Jaws' fault, much like in the movie. It's not Jaws' fault.
I saw
like,
Jaws when I was so little, and I just actually tried to sell my kids on watching Jaws because I was like,
Why would you do that?
I don't know. They've seen
Kids should not
Jurassic
watch.
Park.
No, kids should not watch Jaws.
Well,
They, it's good to have a healthy fear of the ocean. Yeah.
I mean,
Should be afraid.
people in that generation had fears of oceans, pools, toilets, glasses of water. Like it permeated. In fact, there were so many ripoffs. Like when I was a kid, I remember seeing a TV movie that was ripoff of that called Orca, and it was about a killer whale. That was it was like a made-for-TV movie. It was like a whale with a vendetta. And I vividly remember being a kid and lying in bed and being terrified that a killer whale was going to just burst through the door.
This was pre-Free Willy, so you didn't have
I didn't have the positive. It was all negative. It was all negative whale stereotypes.
By the time I think we were kids, there was a lot of like a big push of like shark awareness and orca awareness. Like they're not all predators who want to kill you. Like let's protect
them.
them.
Sharks aren't as smart as whales. So in a way, like a whale with a vendetta makes more sense than a sharks are just kind of like reptile brain. Like
exactly. But that's what makes them so spooky. But whales could like dress up as like your mom. You know what I mean? Like they could like really work a whole grift and then kill you. So it's like way terrifying.
The craziest thing about whales to me is that they were on land before
Wait, what?
Yeah. They were like a creature on land.
No.
That, like,
No.
That's
the opposite way it worked.
No,
This is
that's
sketchy
what they
science
did.
of the
Guys,
highest
What are you
order.
talking
all I
about?
can talk about is evolution lately.
Were all mammals that are sea mammals once land mammals?
A lot of them. No, mostly no. Mostly it's
Well, I
the other
don't
way
know.
around. But okay, let's fact check this.
Yeah, we really need to get someone on this. But but what you're suggesting, just to clarify your claim here, is that whales used to be land mammals that descended into the sea.
Yes,
as
and
opposed to
became-
the other way around, which is what everything else
Tess, will
did.
you fact check this? Because
Yeah, I'll do it. Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk about going up.
Well, you can
against the
talk
stream.
about, anything you want.
This week's podcast is brought to you by True Botanicals. Most skincare products on the shelf involve some sort of trade-off. Either they're loaded with harmful chemicals but they work, or they manage to have clean ingredients but then do absolutely nothing for your skin. True Botanicals believes you shouldn't have to choose between skincare that's safe and skincare that's effective. You deserve both. With the help of leading researchers from top universities, True Botanicals bottles the highest quality natural ingredients, creating luxurious formulas that are as potent as they are pure. Third-party clinical trials verify their product's efficacy. Their Renew collection for aging skin outperformed Creme de la Mer. And their Clear collection for acne outperformed Proactive Plus, proof that non-toxic skincare can not only be as effective as conventional skincare, but it can be better. And True Botanicals is the first skincare company to have its entire line certified safe for people and the planet by the nonprofit Made Safe, America's first non-toxic seal.
Go to truebotanicals.com now to get free samples and receive $20 off orders of $40 or more off your first purchase with the code CALL, C-A-L-L.
One thing I've noticed about shark movies, because on our website, Charles Bramusco did a list of all the greatest shark movies, and I was looking just at the images of them, and I feel like half of the reason that shark movies became a thing or became a subgenre is just that sharks already look so fake. Like before you make a fake prosthetic shark, like
Right,
they
'cause
just
they're
are
so-
these expressionless puppets.
They're
and
so
very easy to-
prehistoric looking.
Yeah.
They are like you can kind of just like turn a hunk of plastic into a shark. Not that hard.
Guys, I've got an update.
Okay, Tess.
All right, so
Breaking
this is
news.
from the Berkeley website.
So it's real.
These first whales, such as Pakicetus, were typical land animals. They had long skulls and
What
large
the
carnivorous
hell?
teeth. From the outside, they don't look much like whales at all. However, their skulls, particularly in the ear region, which is surrounded by a bony wall, strongly resemble those of living whales and are unlike those of any other mammal.
That's what I am talking about.
That's
Okay.
crazy.
I wasn't crazy.
That's incredibly creepy.
Well, it's also like we are lucky that whales don't have vendettas against humans.
Well, they're somewhat related to hippos, like if you go back far enough, but then at a certain point they diverge.
I
And
just
hippos
don't-
are angry and not
Yeah.
smart.
But like,
right?
Really, I thought hippos were chill and cute and
No,
just
they're
like
furious.
No,
hippos
they're
are so
cute.
dangerous.
Scary.
they're cute and scary.
They're kind of like
And they're
really
hungry,
fat
too, if I
crocodiles.
recall
Hungry.
always in the mood for a snack.
Guys, what about a Hungry Hippos movie? That probably already.
I'm sure it's already in the pipeline.
I'm sure that's been greenlit. I'm sure that's in
They're
development.
making a
Because it was
Jungle
when-
Cruise movie
Yeah.
with The Rock.
Well, when they made whenever they bought up all those games, like when they
Yeah,
bought up
yeah.
the Battleship
The Monopoly movie.
Yeah. The Monopoly
The Battleship movie.
could be
Wasn't that-
incredible. I would write the Monopoly movie tomorrow.
That would be dope. I want to see. I want to see the Operation movie with the Rock.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, I'd watch The Rock in all of those, like Connect Four with
Yes.
The Rock.
Can we,
Boggle. The
can we-
Rock.
I don't like to cancel
Yahtzee.
people though, but I am over The Rock. I'll put in that language. I'm over The Rock in
He's
general.
had enough.
Yeah, I'm done with his like weird fake not quite campaign posturing, and he's like a total Republican, and I don't know, and he like used like weird homophobic insults against Vin Diesel when they were fighting, and I don't know.
Oh right, him and Vin Diesel was an interesting,
Well, not
like
were
the
fighting.
behind the scenes
yeah,
drama.
they are still fighting. Like they hate.
What's
each
the
other.
Cliff's Notes of that for
They
our
hate each
listeners?
other.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's just like two huge egos in one room. I think, and I think
Do you
my
think
read
Vin
on
Diesel's-
it is. I
do you
think
think Vin
he's the
Diesel's
more
a better
sensitive
actor?
one. I think that
He
Vin
seems like
Diesel is like a more. I think he's more of an introvert at heart, and I think The Rock is more just like a grandstander, and I think that
Well, he's a wrestler. Come on.
yeah, of course. I mean, like it makes sense, but I think that those two big personalities on a single franchise, it was a tough mix. So.
Well, everyone's just one giant shark movie away from being back in America's heart.
But speaking of Vin Diesel, one of the things that if you haven't seen Vin Diesel's breakdance videos,
Oh, yeah.
everyone should.
They're really good.
I just want to make sure that everyone
Yeah.
knows about that.
Vin Diesel has like a secret like 80s like art career,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. He was like a lower Manhattan,
yeah.
like breakdance meets art.
so
Lower
like,
East
Really?
Side.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm Team Vin in all of it.
He was a
Vin-
bouncer.
I mean, that's not surprising that
He
was a
made
bouncer.
this like art film about how he could play any race that was like about like
Yeah, he was like exploring the mechanisms of racial ambiguity
Yeah.
in Hollywood.
It was
he
like an 80s
trying to
art
do
film.
some
It
shit.
was-
yeah,
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
weird. I mean, he's
No, it's
weird.
totally like some video art.
yeah,
it was good.
but he was doing his thing.
But I don't know. The Rock is just he loves his mom. I don't know. I can't. I agree with you.
I
about the politics.
guarantee you, Vin Diesel loves his mom too.
Okay.
Yeah, who would have thought the millionaire bodybuilder who preaches self-help all the time would turn out to be Republican? What are the odds?
I know.
I was just still stuck on that he was like a Horatio Alger story of like a wrestler who became like an actor, a famous actor.
I don't know that that's the Horatio Alger story.
Not, but to me, I
I'm
was
not
like,
sure that's. I need to
was
recheck
like,
my notes. But I don't think
This is an improvement on like Schwarzenegger, you know, who was
he's
like,
probably an improvement on Schwarzenegger, but he's still in the Schwarzenegger camp.
yeah.
You know.
It's a variation on that
He's the
narrative.
Schwarzenegger, and then Vin Diesel's more of like a Stallone. He's got the heart of gold.
I think that is a fair comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
What do you guys think are going to be the next big, like, scary sea animal or just land animal that people are terrified of? Land whales, now that everybody
Land
knows
whales.
about land whales?
I mean, I would love to go back to the prehistoric. If we're going back to megalodons, like, let's go back to the land whales.
You know what's scary? Well, this goes back to the Cape. I spent some time on a farm in the Cape. Those who follow my Instagram stories might have seen that I saw some baby
so
goats.
great.
The
It was
baby goats
amazing.
are not what was scary. What was scary was
turkeys?
Turkeys.
Yes,
Turkeys
so
are
scary.
so scary.
That's right.
what I was hoping you would say, because that's basically what I was going to say. is
Yeah,
that
they
I went
are
to the La Brea
dinosaurs.
Tar Pits. Yes, I went to the La Brea Tar Pits, and which I just hadn't been in a while, and a lot of that stuff that they have is like giant sloths and stuff, where you're like, man, these things are all so cool. And then I've been watching that David Attenborough show that's all like, the ones that are left just got really small.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's all these things that used to be big and are small. And basically they're just like, and birds are just like small dinosaurs that became small. And I just like couldn't stop talking about it. I was like, look, the birds are dinosaurs. The dinosaurs to survive just became small.
Yeah.
And they're all around us.
There is an inherent horror to turkeys, and in fact, there's an episode of Bob's Burgers
Oh, yeah.
that explores the horror
Well,
of
because
like
they're
masses of
raptors.
turkeys.
Like when you posted that thing, because you posted like 100 of them in a pen, and it was like it was sort of like, and like I had an experience with a turkey vulture earlier this summer.
Really?
Where I was on a beach, like my boyfriend and I like walked down to a sort of like remote beach on the Central Coast, and there were these turkey vultures flying overhead that like. We tried to get closer to them, and they like wouldn't. They were like, "Get the hell out of here!"
Yeah.
They were, I think, maybe defending a nest or something.
They're vocal.
They're vocal, but it's like I also didn't know that they wouldn't attack a human. But it, they were like circling over us, and I was like, they could just fuck us up so much if
Yeah.
they wanted to. We're just
Have you guys seen turkeys, like regular turkeys, not turkey vultures, fly?
Oh my God.
no.
Yeah.
It's
They
so
live, they're
crazy.
wild in in a lot of parts of New England. They're wild. So where my parents live, there are wild turkeys everywhere. They're huge.
What?
They're gigantic. And one time our dog she was a retriever, and she brought us a turkey egg. And once the dog touches the nest, the grown-up turkeys won't take care of them. So we found all the eggs. We put them in an incubator, and we incubated them for ever. It was like weeks and weeks of incubating them, and then we had a power outage, and we'd been looking through them with flashlights, and we could see them growing. And during the power outage, they all they all died, but we didn't know whether to throw them away. So we like kept them for a bit to be like, maybe they'll hatch. And then it was just disgusting. And,
Oh my God.
yeah. But on the plus
What
side,
a roller coaster.
On the plus
I
side,
know.
There's no plus side.
You're
What are you
no
talking
plus-
about?
the plus side is they're
side-
mean birds. And then if you raise them, who knows what'll happen
They
when
would've
they
picked
turn
your eyes
on
out
you.
when
that
were
you're going to
sleeping.
be so useful on the commune, on the night call commune.
Happy Thanksgiving.
The commune
I know
is
what to do.
calling.
But this is this maybe skews old, but there is a WKRP episode based on turkeys flying. And the plot of it is that they're trying to organize this big Thanksgiving promotion, but they won't tell what it is. Like the station director won't say what it is. He just can't wait to do it. And then he dispatches the reporter live to the scene. And it turns out the promotion is that they're going to throw a bunch of turkeys from a helicopter over a mall and create this beautiful wave of a flock of turkeys just flying and creating this gorgeous thing. But of course they start falling and dropping on everyone.
Oh my God, it's like
That's amazing.
Magnolia.
I think the next sea creature horror should have to be octopi.
Wow, yeah, I
right?
mean,
But
Because
they're so cute and
the
smart.
smartest.
And
yeah,
they
but
have
they're
sensitive
aliens.
Humor.
But
No,
they're
they are.
Yeah, we just learned that you've read this, right? This is the new scientific study.
For
They're
real?
actually yes. I love the look.
I
Wait,
agree.
they come
This-
from another
They
planet?
come from another planet. Now, scientists now
possibly-
believe that it's very
I read
possible
the
that aliens
article
come from
that
another
was
planet.
debunking that article. And
I don't
it was
care.
Like,
I only
no,
want the
no,
one.
No, that article, the debunking article was but it's no, in some way it is true. They were it's not they were flown here, but it was we don't know what their DNA comes from. It's
Yeah.
One of the few animals I won't eat is the octopus.
Well, they're very
Really?
smart.
Yes.
I went to a tropical fish store the other day in the valley. I went to Tony's Tropical Fish. No, it's Mark's Tropical Fish. Mark's Tropical Fish. It's the
Yes.
best tropical fish store. It's been there forever. And then somebody told me it's owned by the guy from the Strawberry Alarm Clock, which just
Wow.
made it even better.
Mark.
Wow.
Yeah, Mark from the Strawberry Alarm Clock, who are in my favorite movie, Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. But it's also just been there forever, and I love going in tropical fish stores because they're so relaxing.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
watched this stingray. They had a baby stingray in one tank. And I posted some video of it, but it was so cute, and it looked like it was trying to escape. It was just swimming to the top over and over again. And I asked the guy, I was like, is it trying to get out? Does it know? And he was like, no, they just like to do that.
Sure,
Yeah, easy for
Mark.
you to say. Just a strawberry alarm clock.
Incense and peppermints.
What is the closest encounter any of you guys have had with a sea monster? By which I would include octopi or a shark or giant squids.
I will say that the last time I was in Florida, I was in Pensacola, and there were it's a different type of ocean than the ocean here.
It is a different ocean.
And last time I went, I was like, this is so nice. It's warm and different and beautiful. And then this time I noticed there were jellyfish everywhere. And I couldn't unnotice it. And it made me sort of a little too scared to be in the ocean because they were a non-poisonous kind of jellyfish. But even just the idea of a lot of them touching my body made me be I have to get out of the ocean right now.
They're
But then I
little
also-
nanobots.
Yeah, and then I went and looked, and there's a lot of moon jellies. I went to a pier at night and watched some jellyfish just swim around, and I think jellyfish are super scary and awesome.
I love jellyfish.
Yeah, they have 16 eyes or something. No one can ever doubt anything I say again because I was right about the whale.
No, yeah. At this point, you have a carte blanche to just make up stories.
Carvell, have you ever had any personal experience with a sea monster?
A couple. I mean, so when I was a kid, I lived in Maryland, and we would swim. Or this summer camp we'd swim in the Chesapeake, and jellyfish were common. You'd get stung. Everyone would get stung all day long.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that would happen. It's just you'd get stung by a jellyfish. They were. I mean, you would hold them and you could pick them up. They were weird. I mean, jellyfish are very strange.
Yeah,
And
they have no face.
They have no face, and you can sort of pick them up, and they're just kind of it's like a blob that's sort of and but you'd be swimming, and then you'd hear a kid be like, "Ow!" and it was a jellyfish. So there's that. But then when I was at one point I went to Hawaii, and we swam with sea turtles, which aren't really. Those aren't,
They're so
those.
cool though. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody
Yeah.
could do an evil sea turtle movie, but they have
No,
a
it'd be
pretty
so
good
hard.
reputation.
How could you do that?
Maybe I'm just projecting, but all the Australian sea creatures, I'm always they seem so chill.
Yeah.
The lionfish, isn't it the lionfish that's the most venomous fish or something?
Yeah, but all those Great Barrier Reef ones, I'm they they're so colorful and beautiful.
Yeah.
Even if they like would murder you, you're like, that's cute.
When am I going to get to Australia? I don't know. I was snorkeling in the Caribbean, and we encountered a giant ray, and it was one of the freakiest things that's ever happened to me. It felt like encountering an alien in the wild, because suddenly, it kind of makes itself clear in the water, and it was just sort of like sleeping at the bottom of the like on the sand, and then I think it noticed us and kind of like twitched awake, and I had this fear of God in me. I just immediately turned around and just like booked it back to the shore. But apparently it lived there. Like, we were asking the people, like the local people there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you met the ray. Like, that guy just like chills out there all the time. That's his
It's just
spot."
like a sentient rug.
Yeah,
Just,
but
like,
it's
gets up and
crazy
moves
looking.
sometimes.
Like, it was
Until
bigger than
stabs you
me.
and kills you.
Oh right, didn't that kill?
Yeah, until it ends your career.
Killed Steve Irwin.
Until it kills like
right, I
a person
forgot.
whose whole life is about dealing with animals.
All right.
But it's like Grizzly
a rug
Man.
with an issue.
You know, you have to kind of
got that-
accept the risk,
It's got
right?
that smiley face on its other side that makes it look like a real cutie.
You can really turn that smile upside down. Is what I'm saying.
Tess, what's your most up close encounter?
I haven't ever gotten that close to like a whale, and I never got to swim with like the fun like seals or whatever one does. But I did raise lobsters in this weird kind of like plastic condominium via this like mail order thing where you could your deal was that you'd raise these lobsters from like teeny tinies up until they were a certain size, and then you'd send them back and they could be farmed.
Why?
don't
What is
know.
the? Okay.
I don't know.
But like raising animals in captivity
Yeah.
that aren't supposed to be in captivity, that's kind of your thing.
She
Is
likes
it?
to
That's sort of your
foster.
shtick.
I was
She likes
all
like a
of this,
foster.
yeah.
Okay.
She likes to incubate.
All of this was during 3 years I lived in a really rural area of Connecticut, and I didn't have like anything.
Yeah, you
much
like that
to
rural
do.
biology.
Yeah, so I was just like science lab.
Yeah, you're like,
rooms.
what's
It's
in
like
the backyard?
4-H,
Yeah.
but for like the East Coast.
I did pony club too. I was all animals were my friends.
Yeah.
But the lobsters, it was just terrible. I mean, like they just died, and then the tank was like a huge setup where they each had these like little plastic cells, and it was like a grid of like 24 of them, and there was a filtration system that had to be cleaned by not me.
It was a prison. You
So-
basically
It was a
like
prison.
it was mass incarceration of
It was
lobsters
a
is what
lobster.
you were
It was a
involved in.
panopticon
You were
for
basically
lobsters.
a private contractor.
Wow, I can't
for
believe
lobster
this isn't
prisons.
a thing anymore. I can't
I
believe this
know.
never
No,
caught
it may
on.
still be. It may still
It
be.
is a thing. Every
Yeah.
time you see a lobster tank at a restaurant,
It's true.
Yeah.
But this was, they had much less room, but they
Yeah.
were babies, so they didn't need a ton.
that is how they incubate things, though. When you see it like an aquarium, not to defend you.
No, it was bad.
But-
I was like 10, but still, I live with it.
Did you ever try to do like a little shark egg or anything?
I don't know how you get like a shark. Well, the deal is that I think that you could raise these lobsters in, I think it was brackish water, which is kind of like split the difference between fresh and salt. But a shark egg, you would assume, unless it was some kind of like
You need pure
fresh-
ocean water.
You need, yeah, and then that's like a whole expensive
See, you're thinking
thing.
about this like realistically, which I
Well,
respect.
I've thought about bringing because okay, so there's a new seahorse that they discovered in
yeah.
Japan.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's really exciting.
Okay, what is-
Seahorse news brief.
Seahorse news brief.
From our seahorse
Dun, dun,
desk.
dun, 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 dun.
Seahorse news you can use.
This seahorse, full grown, is smaller than a grain of rice, and it lives in Japan.
What?
Yeah, and it's part of a whole. There's like a whole group of these tiny little seahorses, and they are not allowed to be kept as pets because there's a size limit. You can't bring a seahorse on a plane unless it's a certain size, and all of these are smaller, so they can't be pets.
I looked
Too
up a
small.
picture of it. I googled
And they're
new
beautiful.
Japanese seahorse. They're so pretty and weird looking. Oh my god!
See, that's what's so cool about the ocean is like there's stuff we don't know.
The ocean is
Yeah.
the best, but some people are really freaked out by that
They
by that
should
mere
be.
fact of it.
We've
I
had the
think.
question ocean versus space, and it seems obvious that space is scarier. We all unanimously
Space is
agree.
scarier because there's less creatures,
Well,
but
there's
the
nothing to
ocean is
keep you
scary
company.
because you don't know what's in there, and that's
You're
also
gonna die
cool.
anyway.
Today's episode is brought to you by Tomboy X, a company that makes the most comfortable underwear, bras, and more for everybody, no matter your size or where you fit on the gender spectrum. Their loungewear is super soft, their undies stay put, their bras don't squish you, and their swim and activewear line is amazing. One of the things we love about Tomboy X at Night Call is that they support living wage factories and they're committed to using eco-friendly fabrics and sustainable production. It's simple, cute, comfortable underwear with a good agenda behind it, and we love it, especially the boxer briefs and boy shorts. For a special offer for our listeners, go to tomboyx.com/call and check out their special bundles and pack pricing. Night Call listeners get an extra 15% off with code CALL. That's CALL. Again, that's code CALL, CALL, for an extra 15% off. Ditch whatever you're wearing for a pair of Tomboy X underwear. Go to tomboyx.com/call.
I have to admit, so I have to come clean about something that I did years ago that I now realize is terrible, and I need to like admit to it, which is that I actually ate seahorse at some point. Yeah.
That's
so
okay.
we were on this trip. We were taking this like trip in Southeast Asia, and we were on this like tour, and it was like go here and go to this fishing village and do this and do that. And so it was like this back alley tour, and the guy was like, yeah, you like go, and then we're going to go see this old lady who has all these remedies. So we go to the old lady's house, and she insists that seahorse is really good for everything that ails you. And she's got like,
you're being polite.
she's got
It's
dried
fine.
seahorses there. And we're like, should we be eating these? And she's like insisting that it's good for everything. It's virility and the memory and like hair loss, just whatever you name, seahorses are going to be your thing. And so it did feel weird not to, but we were like in this small group of like.
How big was the seahorse?
It was like 2 Americans, 2 Canadians, a German, a French person who wouldn't stop smoking. Like it was like that weird international contingent of travelers. And everyone, we had to decide individually, are we going to like do the seahorse thing or not? And so I did. It was about, I'm going to say, whatever this is, like 4 inches or something.
Yeah, that's a big seahorse to eat all of.
I didn't eat all of. I took a bite and shared. It was actually the grossest thing.
What did it taste? Was it just like briny and crunchy?
It was briny and crunchy, but not even in a good way. Like it wasn't like,
It's not
it
like
wasn't
those
like we did
little
a dried
freeze-dried
shrimp or
bit,
something. Yeah, it wasn't even that. It just was like, I mean, it tasted like I was eating a seahorse. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the thought of it was so disconcerting that all I could taste was the emotions.
But, you were being polite. I feel like that's you weren't like seeking it out, like, I'm going to eat something. I have a friend who's a vegetarian who once ate a jellyfish because they were in like a situation where they felt like it would be impolite not to.
Jellyfish don't have brains.
That's kind of what they were saying.
Yeah.
It's how they.
But that must have been so gross.
But also, Tess has sort of we've talked about the horse meatballs from IKEA on this podcast before.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, say what now? Hold up, what? I'm sorry. Could you quick rewind here?
Do you eat IKEA meatballs? I do.
Not anymore.
Okay, no. You're safe now. This is retroactively.
Okay.
You may have eaten some horse.
What?
I know.
Why? When?
There was like a thing where they tested the meatballs to see. They were, I think routinely every so often they'll test foods to see are the ingredients
Make sure
correct.
there's not horse meat
Is this
in it.
human or horse?
Yeah, and it was horse. Better than human.
When was this?
This was like maybe 3 years ago, I'm guessing.
Shit.
Yeah, it was within the past 8 years.
No, you put enough lingonberry sauce on there.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not sure if it was the meatballs in the U.S., but it was for sure the European IKEA.
Well, they probably
meatballs.
care less over there. Like, oh yes, I eat the horse.
I don't know. People
Those
love
are my
their
French
horses.
European slander over here. A lot of French slander
They
going
do.
on.
French people love to eat horse.
Yeah.
Well, they eat snails, I think is what you were going off of. All kinds of things are traditional in other places. I feel like that's the thing too, is like I've never eaten a sea cucumber, but lots of people do. And I was reading something about how it was like the superfood of the future because there's like too many of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. It's true that the line between what is edible and is not edible in each culture is, if we're being 1,000% honest, rather arbitrary.
So
Yeah,
arbitrary.
so arbitrary.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm
Arbitrary.
saying. If you eat one animal, like you might as well eat them all.
Well, the fact is that we all need to be eating insects, but I know that I, for one, will never. I just
no, but
can't.
But if that's what's going to happen. My friends are actually. So I got this. I used to run this. It's a long story, but I got this fellowship, and one of the people in my fellowship class are these two women that started the company that's all about insects called Chirps, and they are the cricket flower people. Oh. So I know those girls, and yeah, so when we were in like events together, they would always be trying to make us eat like cricket chips and so forth. And, I mean,
that's fine.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Like, it's what's going to happen.
The hard thing is that crickets I'm superstitious, and crickets are good luck. And so once I killed a cricket in my bathtub by mistake. I was trying to get him with a jar to bring him outside, and I chopped off his head by accident. And both my kids were watching, and they were like, "What have you done?" He's still moving. It was just a nightmare. And I swear I felt that bad luck.
Well, then maybe like double your luck if you eat them.
I don't think it works that way. I don't think so. We could rewrite it, so maybe.
Hey guys, should we take a night call?
I think we should.
Yeah.
Hey, Night Call. This is going to sound really weird, but I have a private wood shop. Mostly as a hobby. I do some side work. I've been doing it for years. This friend of mine this weekend introduced me to a friend of hers who had a job they wanted done. And I should preface that by saying that over in a suburb of the city near where we live, back in, I think it was 2014, there was this horrible crime. It was like a murder scene, literally, where a person was killed and some other people were injured. And it was really bloody. And they've had no ability to, like, sell or rent the property since then. And people go in there and sneak in there sometimes, mostly kids and stuff. Anyway, this young woman, she has a piece of wood which she claims, and I have no way to prove this, that she and a couple of her friends pried this piece of wood out from where all the bad things happened. And again, I don't know if it's true. It's a nice, big, heavy piece of wood that has some weird discoloration on it. Anyway, they wanted to know if I would make them a Ouija board and a planchette out of it. I'm not saying I believe in all that stuff, but I'm also in no way saying I don't believe in it to the point where I think about it. And I know that some people who play with spirit boards and things, and they have like pictures of the kind they want. It's just like this Eastern European, really old Gothic style one. I know people who use it. You always hear stories like they get like maybe entities attached to them or something like that, and it never ends well. But what about the person who's like the carpenter who just makes it? I mean, if they're not using it, they're not playing with it, they're not trying to talk to anybody or communicate with anything. I guess my question is, if you were in my position, would you just say, stop overthinking this and go ahead and take the job? Because I could definitely use the cash. And it does sound like kind of a cool project. Or would you be thinking, why on earth?
This is like is it okay to work to build the Death Star?
Yeah.
Will I get blown up?
Yeah.
This is my favorite question we've ever
This is
gotten.
so good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I want to start by saying I love that his question isn't, should I unleash the forces of darkness on our realm, but will I personally be in trouble?
That
if I
would
do
be my
that?
question.
It's not like, should I do it? It's like, I mean, I would do it, but like,
What do I
are they
stand
gonna
to lose
somehow,
here?
yeah, well, are they going to come at me?
Is it okay to build the Death Star? If you're just a contract worker?
I mean, if you're just trying to feed your family,
Yeah.
just trying to send your kids to college.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, no pun intended.
Many
and
puns intended.
Yeah.
Stop lying.
Well, what if the spirits have something to, first of all, has the case been solved, right? So if it hasn't been solved, could this be a way to crack the case? In which case, you might be doing something good by making the
wow.
Ouija
This
board.
helped crack the case with the Ouija board.
We could.
Wow.
A classic,
The script
well-regarded way of solving murders.
Absolutely. They have mediums for this.
Yes.
It's not just any Ouija board. It's a sacred planchette.
I think maybe it's not okay to build the Death Star.
Really?
I just decided.
I
I think if you
mean,
know what the project
If you
is.
know, it's about if you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't think they told every
what I'm
every
thinking.
like person on the Death Star, Like, so we're building a Death Star.
Well, there's that. You
We
guys
would like
read Devil in the White Castle?
No.
It's about America's first serial killer. He made a murder mansion.
Are you talking about Devil in the White City?
Yes, sorry. What did I call it?
Devil in the White Castle.
Ooh, White
it wasn't
Castle.
a castle. Man, the White Castle.
Man, I've seen the
Pickle
Devil in the White Castle. Trust me on this.
Aren't there holes in the middle of the burger? Somebody told me.
What? Not the ones you get at the supermarket and microwave.
Okay.
Not that.
Somebody told me there's like a hole stamped out in
for
the
the
burger.
devil, yeah.
Leave room for the devil.
Yeah.
Okay, so devil.
Someday we should do a reappreciation of Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle because I watched
what a
it
great
so
movie.
recently, and it is a perfect
so good.
movie.
It is.
Wait,
it is. Thank
we
you
just
for
had
that.
2008 week. What year was that?
That was like 2004, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were going to Guantanamo Bay in 2000.
Right.
Yes, that's right.
So Devil in the White.
Oh, it was a guy who built a murder mansion in Chicago during the Chicago World's Fair, and then murdered tourists basically who came to check. They checked in, but they didn't check out. But the way he was able to build it, because it had all these terrifying trap doors and stuff to murder basement, it was that he hired like a million different contractors to do it and didn't tell any of them what they were doing.
Yeah.
And didn't tell them about each other. So they like built a house that made no sense, basically.
without knowing what they were doing,
Yeah.
but each doing a tiny part.
Yeah.
I see.
What do you guys think about...
How much? I need to know how much
How
because
much?
he didn't say, and it's bothering me so much. Not retirement money means that he's not being offered. What
I'm
would
sure it's like
retirement money
I
even
bet
be?
it's like 1,000.
Well, so they're kids, I thought. They're kids. So how are they
No, I don't
even...
think they're
I don't think they're
kids.
kids. I think they're
No?
like young adults.
It's not Stand By
probably.
Me. It's not the Goonies.
I was kind of thinking it was like 19-year-olds. I'm sorry. Those are not kids, but they're not.
We're talking
not
about
kids.
adult...
How old? I need all the
adult
specifics
murder
of
house
this
I don't think any of
situation.
that. I don't think any of that is true. I don't.
I honestly don't see the problem with doing it.
Wow.
I don't because I mean
I'm kinda with
the murder has
Wow.
not has it's like not like it's an open case still, is it? Like he
Well,
isn't-
that's what I'm wondering.
Probably not.
Let me just take this monkey paw. Nothing bad will happen.
Well, I don't
to
think
me.
that anything bad will happen to him. I'm not quite sure. Like I don't think the theft of the wood is like something that's gonna fuck anybody up though. Like they're probably gonna just end up tearing down the house anyway. And something's going to be built there on that spot regardless. Like
Do we
either
not
somebody
think
will
it's-
move into the cursed house or they'll tear down the cursed house and somebody will live on the cursed land. It's like there's no way to really
What-
it's like you can't get rid of styrofoam or something. It's like you
Right,
can't get
right.
rid of that.
And as Carvell pointed out, all land is cursed in America.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
All houses are made of haunted wood.
Yes. So I don't see in the spiritual scheme of things, I don't see why this would be any worse than
What if your objection is it's tasteless?
It's not. It's actually cool as shit.
It's kind of tasty.
I mean, that's like the aesthetics of this. I'm
Come
all in on the
come
aesthetics.
on. Okay, but like when remember there was like a time period when Trent Reznor had like the door from the Cielo Drive house, the Manson murder house.
He did.
Yes.
What was he doing? It was a door in his house that he was
He
using.
purchased
That
it
is
and put it in
interesting.
his studio, and it had like it had pig and stuff written on it in blood. And then he later like renounced having done it as like.
You know what's interesting about that is that I was like, that thing I said about it being cool as shit was based on, this is my whole actually thing with true crime stuff anyway. It's like that joke was based on the idea that it was just this murder. But then as soon as you mentioned the Cielo house and like a name and face was on it, then I was like, oh my word, that's so tasteless. Like,
Right?
That's so there's this
Well,
incredible.
But also I think in that case that's like using it purely as decoration or some kind of trophy from a scene of atrocity or like a horrible murder.
How's
And-
that different than this though?
Well, I don't feel like it's like they're not going to hang it up in their house or something. Like,
Right, but also like what was the murder? That I think also matters.
We need all the details.
We need the details.
Why does
like,
that matter though? Like
because
what
it's
murder
like-
would make this okay?
yeah.
Like somebody like killing their abusive husband,
Okay, yeah.
then it's an empowering
Well, I mean,
murder.
it's still
a women's
it's
empowerment
a
murder.
little bit more ambivalent.
That is
It's
than-
a
fair.
little bit,
Yeah,
if
that's
it's
fair.
like if
But he said it was like, I mean, I think he would have said he knows about the crime, the caller, and so he said it was like horrible and like he would
he
have
said
been
it was
like it was a
horrible
pretty
and
good
bloody
murder.
and like
It
something
was a
real
pretty
bad
good-
happened.
Like this is the murder that you root for if you're going to root for a
I'm
murder.
just saying, like, what if like kids were like murdered? Like, it's
Yeah.
just
Well, but listen though, is what's his culpability though if he's a woodworker? Like, first of all, say that the whole house is going to be torn down and the wood is going to be destroyed. Is that necessarily better? Like, if you're destroying the house that bears witness to whatever horrible event happened, like, are you then at risk for also getting evil spirits on you?
I think so.
And that's really what his concern is. He's in his CYA situation.
Yeah.
He's really just like, are the spirits going to bother me?
I just feel like if anything bad, if I were him and I did it, I like made peace with whatever and was like, I'm just going to do it because it'll be an amazing, beautiful Ouija board.
Yeah.
And they'll make, I'll make some money. Like, if anything bad ever happened to me ever again, I'd be like, oh, it's because I made that Ouija board.
That's
you know what I mean? Like, if you got sick, you'd be like, it's because I made the Ouija board.
I have a great idea.
Get a
Can I
parking
say?
ticket.
What if he takes it to a like spiritual,
Oh, what if you
like
cleanse
voodoo?
it?
What if
but
you
that's
cleanse
not what
it?
they want. They want the
He
bad
doesn't have
vibes.
to tell them.
No, that's
and then
why would he
he's
do
done,
that?
Because then he's released the spirit to the next realm.
Right, if we take it
and
to...
saved the world from the spirit
feel like the
being entrenched.
issue, and the more that we talk about this issue, is less like our spirit's going to come and have their revenge on the woodworker, and more like, is the woodworker going to feel ashamed of himself for the rest of his life?
No, he specifically said he doesn't want a spirit like clinging to him.
Yeah.
I feel like Emily's
but I
having a
think
hard
by
time
that
with
he
the
doesn't want
spirits thing.
shame.
I feel like you're having a hard time with the spirits thing because you're in New York. Whereas we're having an easy time with the spirits thing
Yeah.
because we're all in California
We're on Melrose.
where all that kind of shit happens all the time.
guys, I love Melrose.
I mean, if I have to make a final, if we have to make a final call,
Yeah.
I would probably say it's okay to make this, assuming that the premise of the question, at least as I understood it, is like, are spirits going to come after me if I make this? And which I think is a little bit of a selfish telling. It should be like, am I going to unleash darkness into the world? And I think that that the point you bring up is right. That like maybe this is good. Maybe this is assuming that spirits are there. Maybe this is a good thing.
Let him talk.
I think the guy should go ahead and make the Ouija board.
Oh my God, I can't
and just
believe.
pray a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, maybe
say
you're making a
don't-
portal for some important stuff
it's
to come
for
through.
bad energy. Clearly, it's from
How
a
do you
murder
know?
site. It's
How
not,
do you know?
But
Maybe
because he
this
said
is
it
the
was
only
from-
way that the victims will be able to
That's what I'm
speak.
saying. This allows the victims to come through.
But that's not why they want it. They just want a spooky
How do we
trophy from
know?
a bad place.
You've never seen Poltergeist. I mean, Ruth
Oh,
Gordon
thank
going
you.
in, come into the
Thank
light,
you.
yeah.
This is a real poltergeist moment.
It is. It
Please
was the best.
keep us updated.
Yes,
please let
please.
us know
Please.
if you
Let
do.
us know
But
what
don't
happens.
tell
Or
anyone
don't.
where we are.
Yeah, no. Please. Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
this is like, now you guys are all implicated.
We're all
You guys are, you all said the spirits could come follow you, and I said no.
I have
so
a
just
shaker
remember,
of salt in my purse. I'm not
just
worried at all.
remember that I said no.
If you're a spirit, follow us on Twitter. And,
Oh, yeah. And also, the line is always open for spirits. If you'd like to give us your night call, please give us a call at 240-46-NIGHT, or you can email us at nightcallpodcast@gmail.com.
We also have an announcement to make. We're going to be having a live show in Los Angeles for those of our night call listeners that are listening from LA.
No ghosts, though. No ghosts.
Please, no ghosts. But on September 5th, at one of the most controversial pronunciations in Los Angeles, but I'm going to go with Tay.
They called it takes when I called.
Takes.
So,
Hot takes.
hot takes.
I've heard Thai.
I thought time.
Oh my God. There are articles about how to pronounce it. It's TAIX. It's the French restaurant in Echo Park. You know it. You love it. On September 5th at 8 p.m., we're going to have a little live show there.
Have a little live show.
Banquet.
Slash dinner banquet. We'll be announcing more details
Yes.
on all our socials. And and then there will also be an after party
And some merch.
and some merch.
And
going
DJ
merch.
sets. It'll be a big night call, night people meetup. And we would love to see you there.
yeah,
If you can make it.
Shadow people are allowed also.
Can we please talk about the Devil's Three-Way just for like 5 minutes?
Just as a palate cleanser.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just have to.
All right. Tess, you've got feelings.
Well, okay. This may be old news when you're listening to this podcast, but over the past couple of weeks, there's been a lot of stuff happening with Elon Musk. It started off on August 7th when he tweeted that he was taking the company private and that they'd secured funding. That turned out to not be entirely true. And then Azalea Banks entered the picture and took to her Instagram stories with a really crazy tale that I did not know whether to believe, and now I feel bad because it's maybe more true than I thought. But basically, I mean, Molly, do you want to weigh in with what happened? It's a complicated story.
Well,
it's like,
she was posting on Instagram stories that she was at Elon Musk's giant mansion complex, which is 5 mansions in Bel Air.
Musktopia.
5 mansions connected together.
She was there because Grimes and she were
invited
supposed
her.
to be collaborating on something they announced in June, and Grimes was like, come out to Elon's mansion and we'll record something on this weekend. But then I guess she was like, oops, Elon and I are going out of town.
Yes. Grimes like stood her up, but was like, just stay
Just
at the
hang
mansion.
out.
Yeah.
It seemed like just hang out, which I think like from other Azalea Banks stories, this happens to Azalea Banks a lot, is that she gets asked to do a feature on something. Because she had another story about how she was supposed to record with Rihanna, and Rihanna like kept her waiting all day and was like eating food in front of her but didn't offer her any.
Ugh.
And she was mad about it.
In everyone's defense, I think this is actually a pretty common thing among like the super
I think
wealthy
so,
and rich.
too.
I think
And I
not
think
everyone like goes and talks about it publicly.
No, I think all the things she was saying were true. She has a lot of stories where you're like, this seems like it's so specific, like the Russell Crowe story, where
Which
you know what I
ended
mean?
up being more
Which has
true
been
than
validated.
not. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
which was like, of course,
Confirmed.
like people are like,
but nobody wants to defend Azalea Banks really
because she
she's-
also has said some really horrible stuff.
and by
Right.
all accounts, she gets like either drunk or just upset.
This was the thing, was she told this whole story on Instagram stories, but there was like no pictures that proved it.
She was just like taking pictures of the ground, which was the most evocative thing she could have done. She was taking pictures of like her iPhone charger in the wall. It was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was
I
a
thought
that
very
was pretty
like,
smart.
help, I can't look like I'm using my phone right now type.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
compared it to Get Out because
It
she felt
was.
trapped inside.
I said it was like Ex Machina.
Yes.
Because it is, you know, and
It's a
also
good reason to say that.
something about a house that big is like so scary. Like
Yeah.
nobody needs a house that big.
Well, I
you know?
guess they offered that she could stay in like the guest house, but she was kind of roaming around a bit, and she was saying that Elon was tweeting and while he was on acid,
Tweeting
that
and
he was on
tweaking.
acid all the time, tweeting and tweaking.
Yeah, she said that
Into the
she
night.
basically was just like, Elon Musk and Grimes are like doing so much acid that they like, are losing their shit, and they're just like doing all this acid together in this Bel Air mansion.
Yeah, all
hanging
this
on
is
by a
stuff she's
thread.
saying on IG stories, but she also breaks the story that he doesn't have funding.
Yeah.
Like
Was she broke
she said that. She said that on her IG. She was like, he didn't. I heard him on the phone. He doesn't have funding for
She was
that.
like,
oh
he
yeah, and she said he
tweeted
was
on
freaking
acid,
out.
yeah.
like scrambling.
She was like, he's too dumb to know not to tweet on
Yeah.
acid.
Yeah.
And then after a while, after enough time being there, she starts to suspect that she was just brought there for some kind of weird threesome that they ended up
Which
just
she
like,
was.
oh, absolutely. I'm
That's
not
what
saying
it's-
that that's not true. I'm just saying that she starts to catch on that was probably
She
the
caught
case.
on that was probably what was happening. She posted what were supposedly texts from Grimes that seemed. Everybody was like, does Grimes really text like that? And people were posting her tweets being like, I mean, this is how she tweets. So, like, it doesn't seem that weird, especially if everybody's on a lot of acid all the time.
The part of this story that's so weird that I can't even really like verify that I'm not making it up, but I don't think I am, is that they were all eating Dippin' Dots.
No, that part to me
Right.
verified it because I was
It's
like,
so
it's
weird.
the ice cream of the future. Grimes would totally be
No.
like, let's get some Dippin' Dots because
It's the ice cream of the 90s.
It's the ice cream of the future from 1997.
Exactly.
Right, but that's like they'd both be like, we love the future.
The idea of doing acid and then being like, great, now it's time for Twitter and Dippin' Dots.
No, I know.
Like,
The idea
that's the scariest
of
thing.
doing like having so much money and all the good drugs and being like, let's sit around on Twitter. Like, what a nightmare.
Let's eat some painful ice cream.
These are like the
Painful.
apparent geniuses of our time. They're like just go on Twitter on acid.
It just was just send Anna Biller over there to just shoot this.
I know.
You know.
Also, just the breaking news of today, which again is a week ago for you, but it's important that you realize that this has all led to some unfollows between Elon and
yeah.
Grimes on Instagram.
Wait,
Very
they don't
ominous,
follow
you guys.
each other?
They
anymore?
unfollowed each other.
It's been
Followed each other.
confirmed.
Do you think
Yeah.
that did they break up?
Possibly.
That's what we're
That's
The
what
cut posed the question: is this the end of Grimes and Elon? And you know what it should be. We were never about that union.
It was a
on
summer
this
romance.
podcast.
It was a summer nightmare.
I don't
Yeah.
know that. I mean, I believe in giving people a lot of leeway for bad dating decisions. 'cause
No, this is
one of
so
my theories
bad.
is that everyone dates badly, and I dare anyone to doubt that. And every person knows deep in their heart that they've dated badly at some point. But I almost feel like like choosing to date Elon Musk is a thing you should never recover from.
100%.
No, she can't come back from that. Thank you, Azalea Banks, for bringing down the evil empire, at least. That was a good move. But that was the thing, too, is that
She's chaotic good in
Elon
Yeah,
Musk.
exactly.
She's absolutely chaotic good. Yeah.
Elon Musk's thing, his like rep denied it, and then he like confirmed it,
Yeah, he
which
did
was
an
also
interview.
like, why are you trying to make her look like a crazy liar?
Yeah, I know. Also, the qualifier of like, I had just finished working out. See, look, I'm not doing acid and eating Dippin' Dots.
That's
I'm
what
working out
saying.
and running
It's
a
like,
company.
Look at what a nut job this person is that people are projecting like authority and genius onto, and like he's
But this is the thing I love about this story on a deeper level. Maybe it's not even deeper. It's just the level of the story is that this is so entirely within the ethos of Silicon Valley. Like this idea that like people imbue these like basic dudes with like some kind of power and authority because they have this money.
Yeah.
But then when you see their daily inner workings,
Well,
they
his money
are-
also, as Azalea Banks pointed out, his money all comes from like apartheid diamonds.
Yeah.
Like that's why he's a rich person who was able to start a company in
He
the first
spun
place.
his bootstrap story, but it's very
No,
very
he's like from
specious.
because I was doing jokes a while ago about how his dad was John Huston in Chinatown, and then I saw a picture of his dad, and his dad looks just like John Huston in Chinatown, and then married his stepdaughter, which was what he and Elon Musk fell out over.
What?
Was because Elon Musk was like, my dad and I don't talk. He did something very bad. He knows what it is, and then it came out that it was like he married one of his stepchildren.
Cool.
So
wow.
super cool
It's
family.
Nothing. See, the problem with 2018 is nothing can stay funny. And
know.
everything
I'm
has to
sorry.
get dark within 30 seconds.
That's my
That's just the
power,
reality of
I
this
think.
moment. So in this one, people are like people are defenders of Azalea Banks in this one, right?
Yeah, because
I think
she was
she's-
broken.
This is like a really big step towards her public rehabilitation as far
Well,
as
based
like, her...
based on her social interactions over the past few years, I would not invite her over for a weekend because she just sounds like she gets drunk and super angry. But I'm like really happy that she's been vindicated. Also because
That's what
everyone
I'm-
always
yeah.
calls her a liar. Like
she was telling like a twisted fairy tale.
Yeah.
Of,
Yeah.
like I'm in this mansion with these crazy people, and I'm realizing that this collaboration is like not a thing I'm trying to do.
Yep.
It was really good content.
We'll check back
It's good content.
on
That's
this
true.
story because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
far from
I love
over,
this
Yeah.
show.
I'm sure.
Well, that does it for this week's Night Call. Thanks everybody for listening. And
Yeah.
if you want to give us a call at 1-240-46-NIGHT, you should do that. Tell us, weigh in on the Ouija board question. It's the great moral debate of our time, apparently.
Yeah, you guys know I'm right in your hearts.
I know.
And thank you so much for Carvell for being here too.
Thank
yeah,
you for
thank
having
you
me.
so
It was
much.
so great.
Thanks, Carvell, for coming on.
Yeah.
And listen to Carvell on Closer Than They Appear. And check him out in the New York Times Magazine.
And mom and dad are
And
fighting.
Slate's Mom and Dad are fighting.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys next week and at our live show.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.